Hey RunNinjas, it's Patrick Vu here with a quick dojo talk, and wanted to give a quick shout out to all of you who are prepping for the Ottawa race weekend on May 28th, 29th, and especially for some of you who are tackling the marathon distance maybe for the first time or hopefully going for your best time. Here's something that you have probably given some thought to, if not worked on yourself, which is pre-race nutrition. And I'm not talking about in-race nutrition, not the taking of gels and sport drink along the way and water. That's a separate talk. But in terms of prepping your body for the race and stepping up to the start line, and a lot of people will have at least heard of carb loading, if not practiced it themselves. And carb loading is a practice which has been implemented by endurance athletes across all sorts of disciplines, and is just when you intentionally top up your glycogen store. So your body has a storage capacity for glycogen, which is the fast burning energy. It allows your metabolism to tap into that, convert it quickly into energy. So when you're running fast or you're in the early parts of a marathon, you are getting sort of readily accessible energy. And glycogen is fed by carbohydrates. When you are able to maximally use your glycogen, then you stave off what's called the wall, or that bonk moment, when your body all of a sudden feels like you've come into a sudden lull, or your legs all of a sudden feel leaden and heavy. It's because your body has really sort of tapped out its glycogen stores and now is being forced to convert fat into fuel, which is a much more laborious process. And it's kind of like burning through all the tinder on your campfire, and then now it gets down to burning the logs. And the logs are a slow burn, but they're gonna carry you on further. It's just tougher for them to ignite in the same way. So you want to have as much of your glycogen stores available to you as possible. And there have been studies that have said that a lot of endurance athletes, especially marathoners, don't have maximum glycogen going into races. So they do themselves a disservice. So in terms of carb loading, it's something that you want to do maybe 3 days in advance of a race, so maybe starting the Thursday before a Sunday marathon, but not much more than that. And I know that my buddy Jim, our sensei, would suggest that carb loading is not even really something you necessarily need to do, because you're tapering, you're not running as much as you would normally do, so you're not burning through your glycogen stores. I'll just say that I always do some kind of carb loading, and for me, carb loading is about eating some good complex carbohydrates, whether sweet potatoes or whole grain pastas, but you can also cheat a bit, because sugars, even simple sugars and refined sugars, get turned into glycogen. They're not necessarily the best source of carbohydrates all around, but it will contribute to topping up your glycogen store. So for me, a typical carbo loading day might start off with, let's say, bagels in the morning for breakfast, and maybe a bowl of cereal, and then you might have a mid-morning snack, which would include a carbohydrate drink. So a sports drink, something like Gatorade, Powerade. I know it's not everybody's favorite, but if you don't drink carbohydrates, you probably aren't going to get as much carbohydrates in a day as you possibly can. And I'm not suggesting that you want to just eat more and more and more, but you want to kind of up the percentage or the ratio of carbohydrates to, say, proteins or fats that you might have over the course of a day. So mid-morning snack might be a muffin and a carbohydrate drink. Lunch, perhaps a sandwich or nachos or something like that. It's a sort of standard meal, again, paying attention to a higher carbohydrate content. A mid-afternoon snack might be a granola bar, or some kind of energy bar, and then carbohydrate drink again. And then, plate of pasta, with chicken or something like that for a supper. I know some of you are vegetarians and vegans, so you can substitute something else in for any meats or anything that doesn't work for you. And then an evening snack, which might again include some kind of pastry or croissant, and then perhaps again another sip of carbohydrate drink. So that would be only again for 3 days. And one of the things to certainly be aware of is that you could gain weight over those last 3 days, and it's not something to worry about because A, it's glycogen stores, and B, carbohydrates tend to absorb water, so you're actually absorbing more water in weight. And just trust me, you'll want that fuel. It'll serve you much better than not having that fuel, even if you're carrying that little bit of extra weight. And the extra weight could be anywhere from 2 to 5 pounds of extra weight. Anyway, so that's a quick note on carb loading. I hope that helps you out. And all the best to all of you who are racing whatever distance come Ottawa race weekend.